Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa
How you
rahmatullahi wa
doing?
barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, and you?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. It's a real pleasure to speak to you. MashaAllah.
My pleasure too.
You have a lot of insight. You are a man who's traveled, lived away, lived in a prosperous country in South Africa, lived in Nigeria, which is a developing country, one of the quickest developing in the world. Alhamdulillah, big population, very computer literate like yourself, mashallah. And you've also lived in the West now for almost 1 year, living in the West. How's it been living here in the UK?
Well, Alhamdulillah so far, but it's quite different. And compared to where I've been in the southern part of Africa and western part of Africa as well. But yeah, it's quite different. We have different orientation, we have different mentality, and we do things differently. So yeah, but Alhamdulillah so far, it's been a lovely, friendly people in a way.
Good.
So, but we have different, priorities. I can just put it that way.
When you say priorities, what do you mean? What's different in, let's say, from Nigeria to England? What's the difference in priorities?
Um, the way we think, the way we reason, and our values are quite different. Yeah, and that's why I say we have different priorities. Yeah. For example, for me, a free country is definitely a lawless country, and if we propagate a free country, it means we want to have a lawless country. That's what it means. Yeah, I think in terms of societal value, that's what I mean. What we prioritize. Yeah.
I'll just close my window, sorry. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, actually. So it talks about prioritization. So, like, I've lived in Asia. Again, in Pakistan, we have a north-south divide, similar to Nigeria. Most of the money in Pakistan is in the south. The big cities are in the south, like Karachi, etc. The very big cities. Karachi is like Lagos. It's like 20 million people. Very, very big city, commercial center. It's not the capital, but it's the commercial center. So we have a north-south divide, and even in England as well. But I think when you talk about values, it's really interesting because I find in the UK, in the West generally, it's very egocentric. Me, me, me. And we talked about this a few days ago. Maybe this egocentricity is what led a small island, a small country like England, like Belgium, like Holland, to colonize entire continents. Can you believe a small country like this? If you put England and Holland and Belgium together, it's probably 70 million people. It's not a big country, them three, but they colonized half of Africa, most of Asia. And I think that priorities, again, it goes back. We are very communal people. We are very welcoming people. We're hospitable people. But in the West, I think there's a lot of, they say in the West, God is dead. There was a philosopher who said 200 years ago, God is dead. He said it like in an exclamation. But in our countries, certainly in West Africa and in South Asia, religion is still a big, big part of our life. We tend to put other people first, it's a communal bonding rather than egocentricity. Do you think that's your experience as well?
Um, if I look at that, um, I can tell you something. My very first day in the UK, I just look around, and the person that came to pick me up at the airport, the first thing I told the person is, "Really?" So the whole world was controlled from this place. And he looked at me, he said, "Yeah, it is there in the Buckingham Palace there. That's where they control the entire world." And I smiled. Um, you know, those are things actually I was, looking forward to.
Yeah.
But I think me going to different places, the way I look at what the West has done, we don't. I don't really blame them for most of the things, to be honest. In terms of the colonizations, I just what I figure out is they actually hunt for what they need. You understand? It's a survival of the fittest. They try to fight for their survival. Because I look around in the UK, I try to look at most of what resources do they have? How would they have survived? So it's actually because they're going through a lot, and the things they need is far away from them, and that's what they've come for in everywhere that they've gone to. In order, they just, in terms of the colonization. So it's just like they're looking for a way to survive, and things for them to be able to survive is there, in another part of the world. So they just came in fighting for it. But the only thing I would have said, I dislike about it is it could have been done in a friendly manner. Yeah, it could have been done in a friendly manner as an exchange instead of actually robbing people of, their dignity and their culture. But they did what they had to do
Yeah.
in order to survive, and that is why I believe it is, because the way I look at it is just that they had to do what they need to do, or what they needed to do in order for them to survive. But does it change? No,
Yeah.
it doesn't change, because if you still look at it, it does not mean we're all shouting independence, 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 and both here in Africa, both in the Asia. Are we truly independent? No.
No, exactly.
So
I would say we're less independent now because we're following so much Western culture and Western. We want to be like the West in so many ways. We talk about the youth. The youth now all we have this brain drain from Asia and Africa. The brightest are aspiring to go to America. They're aspiring to go to Europe to study and to work. They see this as a badge of honor. Whereas before, people would come to Africa and Asia to study, like Baghdad, Timbuktu, Cairo. These are civilizations, Khartoum even, these are big civilizations, big empires, big educational cities. The first university in the world actually was in Morocco. The first university in the world was built in Morocco. So these were civilization centers, and people came from the Europe to study in Africa and in Asia. Now the opposite trend is happening, where our brightest and best are going to Europe, and they're seeing this as a badge of honor.
um, that's true. I'm also guilty of that, because we all studied here, outside our comfort zone. We studied abroad, and we always believe if you haven't been there, you haven't been to the peak, you haven't get to the peak of it. And there are a lot to. I think it has to do with society, like I said earlier. I'll give you an example today. One thing I also discovered is that collectively, the problem we have both in the Africa and the Asia is a collective problem, and that is the strength of the West. If you put the West apart, they're not really strong individual, but they work collectively. But if you put other part of the world together, they begin to envy one another, and that's where the problem begins. But if you put them apart, they are well better individual, and
Yeah.
it's part of the colonization. It's part of the way they model us. They come to us and tell us everything about us is not good, and they think, trying to show us what is good. Whereas those part of the world have been in existence and they've been living before.
Yeah. Independently.
Independently,
Self-sufficient.
self-sufficient. Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you came, you just have to tell them everything they're doing is not okay. It's not acceptable. It's not the right way to do things, and trying to introduce your own way. It's a carrot and cake, or how can I say it? A carrot and cane. Sorry, it's not that happen easily anyway, but they find their way in order to get it in. So now we believe they are the standard, which we are looking to.
Exactly. And now you see, especially in Asia, this inferiority complex where particularly Asian girls are dyeing their hair blonde. They're putting contact lenses in. They're putting makeup on 3 shades lighter. It's happening in Africa as well. I've seen it. And this is inferiority complex, trying to lighten yourself. Like, why? This is not you. Why are you trying to? And then the opposite is happening in the West. They're trying to have a tan. But especially in Asia and Africa, people are trying to get lighter. And this whole, the worship complex, worshipping the invader, the colonial inferiority complex, whereby the colonialists came to trying to get closer to them because the image of God is white according to Judeo-Christian philosophy with all the pictures in the churches you see. But you're beautiful the way you are. Why are you lightening your skin color? Why are you using 3 filters on Instagram? Why are you using, Facetune and all these apps which lighten the skin? This is a problem now, and I see it a lot in medical practice. Body image issues. It's fine if you want to get in better shape, but you can change your body, by the way. You can get, put on muscle and lose weight, etc. But you can't change your skin color. And this is God given. And I see a lot in Asia, like dyeing their hair blonde. Like blonde and brown skin don't go together. This is not you can't have this. It's not possible. So,
Yeah. Well, I do understand that, but the same thing to go back to the um, you know, we have to look back to where we're coming from. Uh, we both the Africa and the Asia that the particular topic or the subject of this topic, which we use an example. What I mean, there are people which we are actually trying to use as an example is we've lost who we are, and that's just the reality. So, and it's not today. The most dangerous thing that ever happened to us is the media. I'm not talking about social media actually before then, because it's been controlled by certain people, and the generation has also been. Look at the movie that we watch. Those are the influence. It makes you feel that you are inferior. It
yeah,
makes you
yeah.
feel like you are not good enough. So you want to be part of the people, or you want to associate yourself with the people that you can. I think I read an article. Nigeria is one of the most leading country in the bleaching. Which there are people are bleaching. They use a bleaching cream. Why would you do that? You're actually even damaging your
Yeah.
own skin. And the funniest part is that I've realized is that majority that do so have not actually left their own country, because if they have, they could have seen the beauty of their beauty. They
Yeah.
will have appreciated themselves more
Yes. Yes.
instead of the inferiority complex. And
Yeah.
it's not really an individual issue; it's a collective issue, and it's a societal issue.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And I see the medical consequences of this bleaching and dyeing hair is fine. It's not that dangerous, peroxide, etc. But bleaching of the skin is unproven, and it's very damaging, and it can cause so many conditions. It can affect fertility as well, because the chemicals they're using are very potent, and this is not just an action. The action manifests one's self-esteem complex. So they have such low self-esteem because they're comparing themselves to the Western civilization. And we saw this with Beyonce. They airbrushed her 4 shades lighter with blonde hair, etc., etc. Like, this is not giving a good example to the youngsters. Yes, if you want someone, for instance, like if you look at Ronaldo, great physique, that's inspirational and aspirational. You get to that level by working hard and being disciplined. But you can't ever lighten your skin. This is not aspirational because you can't physically do it. You can't actually, medically lighten your skin. So this whole thing of white is beautiful. This is the issue. Whiter is more beautiful, and we have it in Asia. You have it in Africa, where whiter is seen as more beautiful. And this wasn't around before the colonialists came, before the invaders came, before the British Empire, the Dutch, the Belgians, the French, Spanish, the Portuguese. These are the 5 or 6 countries that colonized all the world, basically, all the world. It wasn't around then. And what do they have in common, all these 6 countries? Italy as well. 6, 7 countries. They are white, Caucasian, European colonialists.
Well, that's true again. There's no doubt. That's absolutely true. But if you still go back to what I said earlier, look at all these countries that you've listed. What resources do they control? What natural resources do they have?
Very little. Yeah.
That is exactly
Yeah.
what I said. It's
Yeah.
a survivor for the they're fighting for the survivor, and that's what brought them to all of all of the part of the country, all different continents. They were looking for survivor or way to survive, and the resources is there, but it cannot be done broadly. But at the same time, I always have an idea. I could remember in school, in my university days during my undergrad, we used to have an argument, and my argument, which I haven't changed my position until now, even till now. I mean, till now, my position still remain the same. And the fact is, we cannot just blame the colonizers alone. When we look at the histories, I've read different books that talks about slavery, but there is an important part where we omitted in the slavery. Some slavery were bought.
Yeah.
If they were bought, they
It's
from
sold.
who?
Yeah.
They've been sold. Sold by who? By us ourselves.
Yeah.
So Africans sold Africans. Asians sold Asians. To who? So those are the things we try to omit. Let me give you an example. For example, in Nigeria, I just read I read in different history book that the king, the Oba in Lagos, some of them sold their people to the British Empire. But today still, these same kings, they still say them, these are the people supposed to have sinned or to outcast, take away from the kingship or anything. But you continue to blame the people who came to buy, but you are not blaming the people who
Who sold?
sold you.
Yeah.
That's I was looking at it in that way. They couldn't. It's not easy for them to just come. Yes, fine. They came, conquered people because they come with a gun. Why are you fighting with your own, the kind of
Swords and knives.
swords and knife? But they
Yeah.
don't need to get to you before they shoot you and got you down, gun you down. So they got the biggest weapon. But at the same time, go and look before it gets to that point.
They were willing to sell.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they were actually buying. They come in to
Yeah.
buy. And now, why do they come to fight again? It's just because they see that you people don't even like yourself. If you can sell yourself, that means you are greedy. We can even get it for free.
Yeah.
So
No.
we need to look into ourselves in order to, because there is no, people just think there is civilization. People think there is freedom. I just laugh. I've been in Nigeria for how many years? Since the independence up until now, people still blaming the colonizer. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. The same thing I live in South Africa till today, people still blaming apartheid. Apartheid that lasted for over how many years ago? 2 decades ago. But you still yet unable. So this is just the point. It's system.
Yeah, and people like to adopt a victim mentality. Yes, it was relevant when it happened, but 3 generations later, 1951 or 1947, Pakistan got independence. In the 50s, you
In
got
the 60s.
yeah. So it's 3, 4 generations ago, and people don't like to take accountability. I always say, it is not your fault, but it is now your responsibility. This is the big difference. People conflate fault with responsibility. Like, if I knocked on your door and gave you a baby, a newborn baby, and just left, that newborn baby is not your fault. If someone left it there, but it's now your responsibility. You have to take responsibility for this baby. Same as whatever trauma you have, it might not be your fault. Even if it's a colonial complex, it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it and actually overcome that complex and rise above it. And I always say, with any trauma, you can always have the 2 V's: victim or victor. Simple as that. It's a simple dichotomy. You know about coding, binary.
Yeah, of course.
One and
Yeah,
zero.
that's a computer language. Anyway.
Yeah, 1 and 0.
It's a binary.
It's a binary.
That's
You
why
can be
it's
victim
logic.
or victor. A victim or victor. Now let's say, coming from an African background, an Asian background, we are the luckiest people in the world because we got the best of 2 worlds. We live in a country where English is second language. We're computer literate as well. And we're living in the West. So we see both angles. We have this rich cultural experience where we've got our own background. We'll never forget our background. We are from Africa and Asia, but we're living in the West, so we can see things with both angles and we can have a nuanced understanding. And I think this is important, because people who don't leave the continent, they've got one understanding. And people living in the West who've never been to the continent, they'll get one understanding. We can traverse both areas and understand geopolitics from a bigger angle,
Well, that's true anyway, and I think let me put it this way, having been into the West, or let's say in Africa, now coming into the West, or you've been in Asia, now coming on into the to live in the West. one thing I've learned, or I've happen to understand differently between the Africa. I like to use in Africa as an example, and the West is it's about there are three things: politics, religion, and culture. My understanding of the West is that it's three parallel things that cannot mix together. But in Africa, we mix them
Yeah, all mixed. Same in Asia.
all mixed together.
Yes.
They mix politics, religion, and culture together. And these are three separate things
Yeah.
that cannot be mixed together.
Yeah. Here, no religion and there's no culture,
Exactly.
and a lot of people aren't political, so the bonds tend to be weaker actually. Bonds, but over there, all three are very important. People hold on to them very strongly, and that forms your identity. You have a multifaceted identity, cultural, political, and then even tribal as well. Here, it's very secular country. It's apolitical, and people don't actually have any culture.
And that is it. I think that is what makes them to be what they are, to be honest. And that's what makes them to be leading. I was so surprised. My fourth month, when I got here, I got a mail that I should go and register to vote. I was surprised because it said I'm eligible to vote because I'm paying tax there, so I should register and vote. And to my surprise, in the county I am, even the mayor itself is actually even more or less like a foreigner. So when you look at this, they look about the governance. If you want to, anyone, even if you come out, they don't care who you are as long as you can do it. But their belief is you cannot cheat the system, which is a different thing that happens in Africa.
Yes.
They have to start looking at your culture. They have to start looking at your religion before they can now be able to, those are two weapons that they use to, mix it all with the politics. And that's why we can never grow. These three things have to be separate. There's a difference between religion, politics, and culture. We have our culture, but we mix them together. And that's why we are where we are today.
Yeah, and it can be a recipe for disaster. We've seen in Asia what culture can do when you have warring tribes. We've seen in Africa what this can do. In Cameroon last year, in Rwanda in the mid-90s, even in Sudan and Nigeria as well. There's can be civil war and infighting when culture and tribalism takes place. Tribalism, and it's linked to religion and to politics. It gets very messy. So it's got the good side, which it gives you identity. It gives some structure. But at the same time, we've seen the bad side of this as well. And we saw it in Europe, in the Bosnian in genocide.
That is what it normally that is what it's going to result to. It's genocide, and the problem is you sit them down later, and you ask them what really happened. They cannot pin it out. Up until today, Nigeria is still struggling to understand what the Biafra war. So when you look at it, we grow up. It happens before I was born. The remnant is still there. People still crying about it. They try as much as possible to change the narration, but at the same time, those who felt it differently. The North felt differently. The West felt differently. The East also felt the particular war differently. So people, that's what happened when you introduce tribalism into governance. You introduce religion into governance. We're just fighting senseless war.
Yeah.
It's just about senseless war, to be honest.
Senseless, and Almighty God says in the Quran, we divided you into nations and tribes so you can recognize one another. And this is beautiful. Tribes, we said yesterday, different colors and cultures and foods, and this is beautiful. And nobody is more superior except in piety. Piety will say he's a better person, he's more pious. Because you got a Muslim, then you got a Mu'min, then you got a Muttaqi, and then you got a Muhsin. You got different levels. And we said this as well. But no tribe is more superior. No tribe. Even the Prophet ﷺ, his tribe, the Quraysh, he didn't have any sons. He had a daughter, and his lineage continues from his daughter. And they took pride in, we are Arabs and we got the best horses and the best poetry. But he said an Arab has no superiority over an Arab. or non-Arab. There's no superiority. And in Islam, there's no superiority. And this is a beautiful thing. This is God Almighty's plan is to divide you into nations and tribes. La ta'arufu, to recognize one another. Recognition. Beautiful, beautiful. But we've taken this, and we mentioned this 2 days ago or yesterday, about certain people and tribes having this pride. We are better. You can't have this because there's just by virtue of your DNA, you're not more a better human being. And this is a disease, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a disease that needs to be cured, and and I don't see it getting cured, or we are having a cure to it anytime soon. And if you look at this, I do tell people, and my first question to racism or tribalisms or anything is the fact that let's look at it in tribe. I'm just gonna use a tribe, for example. I'll use Nigeria as also an example. Let's say an Yoruba guy, Hausa, and an Igbo. And what makes you an Igbo? I just ask. That's just a question. What makes you an Igbo? Just no, because you were born by an Igbo man or an Igbo. You were born to an Igbo home. So what makes you not to be an Igbo then?
Mm-hmm.
So that means it's not your choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What makes you an Hausa man? It's because you were born to an Hausa family or into an Hausa lineage. Is it your choice?
No.
So why do you blame the other person? Why do you choose to be an Igbo? That's another question again. That means it's not your choice. So why do you blame the other party that what you have no control over it? That person to have no control over it.
Yes.
Has no control over to the kind of to the lineage or to the tribe he was born to. So why do you have to fight for that? Why do you have to fight over that? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
No sense. Senseless.
Right?
Senseless.
It's senseless.
And they say Satan, Shaitan, Iblis got demoted from heaven, isn't it? He got sent to earth.
Exactly.
Because kicked out. Because there's arrogance. I'm better than him.
Yes.
I'm created from fire.
Fire. This was made from a
clay.
Just a clay.
You didn't ask to be made from fire. Allah made you from fire. And Adam didn't ask to be made from clay. Allah made him from clay. It's the same with the tribalism. And the beautiful thing about Islam is Allah tells you why He did it. He tells you why He created you in different colors. He tells you why. He didn't just leave this question unanswered. He tells you He says so you can recognize one another. This is why I did it. So you can recognize one another.
When you look at that, it is very funny because I do tell people, what if, just imagine it one day that we are all the same. It's going to be boring.
Yeah.
We will have got tired of it. The world will have been meaningless to everyone because it's just like, a normal routine.
Yeah. Like yesterday I had Nigerian food. The day before you had Indian food. It's a beautiful part of the world. Like we just eat different food.
I do have I have a friend in South Africa.
Yeah.
He just woke up and told me, no. We're going to hit in Pakistani store today. And we go in there. He just said we need to have a variety of things, something different. I will go there, we're having biryani. And he was like, yeah, we have different tastes. Yes, we do have food. He said, yes, I've been eating that food. We've been eating that food and same food. We know how it tastes. Let's go and taste something there and have something different. So we go into the store, go to the Indian store. I eat from Pakistan. I don't shame people's food.
Yeah.
This is what they eat.
Exactly.
They've been living. It's not that everybody there are dying. That's all they live on. Because I don't know how to eat it, does not mean that I should not say, I should look down on them or look down on what they kind of food they eat.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I just say that it's just, I believe life is about fortunate. We just being fortunate because I don't choose where I was born. I don't choose my tribe. That's just the reality. I don't choose them. I found myself in it. So why should I blame others over what I have no control over? That means they also have no control over it themselves. So if I am born in Pakistan, I will be eating Pakistani food. Whatever they eat there will be my top food.
Exactly.
But I happen to be a Nigerian, and that means I eat Nigerian food.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that is where life's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing of how Almighty God has created us. You're right. Imagine how boring will be life with just one tribe and one food. It will be really boring. And they say the whole world is a book, and those that don't travel only read one chapter. Think about it. 200 chapters the whole world. You don't travel, you only read one chapter. And it's a beautiful thing about, you lived in South Africa, very diverse. People from India and all over China, from West Africa, from
I learned a
Asia.
lot. I learned a lot there in terms of being people, and uh, personality. Is a diverse. But you're talking about Africans, talking about colored, talking about the blacks, talking about the Indians. You talk about the Asian as well, which are actually not just that. They are migrant. They are actually South Africans.
Yeah.
I look at the Indian who is, we call them Bali. You say Bali, who is actually 70 years old or something, and he's telling you that his own father has never been to India. He is 70. His father has never been to India, so that means the great grandfather has been in. They are South Africans. So
Yeah.
it's a different culture.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
100%. And you mentioned different culture, and like for me, living in the West, I've lived in Pakistan for 1 year. I was a child, but I found the culture there resonated with me, aligned with my worldview more than the culture does here. Here, the culture is all about career first, family later. And for me as a man, I was 24 when I got engaged, and 26 when I got married. I had my first child at 29. I believe in young, early marriage. And we discussed this yesterday, which, you mentioned, especially in the north of Nigeria, it's the same as northern Pakistan. We don't delay marriage. We don't. And here in the UK, average age of marriage is like 37 for a guy and like maybe 34 for a lady. And even today when I was walking, I saw some children with Down syndrome. And your chance of Down syndrome increases exponentially with maternal age. When a woman reaches above 35, she becomes what we call a high-risk pregnancy, a geriatric pregnancy. So now more and more women are having children above 35, some even 40. Last week, or maybe this week, Naomi Campbell had a second child at 52. Her first was 48. Janet Jackson as well in their late 40s. We're getting this new people, new mothers in their 40s and 50s.
It still go back to loss of identity. To be honest, it's about loss of identity and trying to copy what other people doing, and that's what happened in Africa and the Asia that we're talking about. Most of their they just want to copy the West, and they want to copy everything without. It's just like you cheating in the exam and you copy the person's name as well. If you copy and copy the person's name, that is actually what is really going on.
Yeah.
The system has been designed. That is not who we are. And I look at it. Look at Nigeria, for example. You see them as 35. You see them between 28, 26, 27, 28 under 35, even 40 now. Majority of them
Not married.
No.
Yeah.
It's not even because they are not divorced. They
Yeah.
have never been married.
Yeah, and like I said, your best years as a woman are your youth, your 20s. They're wasting that trying to compete with men. Men and women aren't the same. We have different biological clocks. Men will peak much later. Women's fertility declines precipitously after 22. It does. And after 35, she reaches high risk of diabetes during pregnancy, so many complications like miscarriage even, polyhydramnios, which is a large baby. She has a higher chance of Down syndrome after 40. But first age for having a newborn now is increasing to late 30s for women. And career. And I do understand certain part of it where cost of living in the UK, we mentioned this as well today, has gone up. So you have to have two people working. I understand that. But it doesn't mean because you're chasing career, you can't have a family at the same time. It's like saying, I'm making tea, but I can't, for instance, a simple example of a tea. Tea requires milk at the same time as sugar, at the same time as water, at the same time as tea bag. You don't say, let me take one thing out. All these things should go in unison. They should complement each other. Not let me do this, then that, then this, then that. Why can't you be multifaceted? Men are expected to be multifaceted. We're supposed to be providers, husbands, fathers, sons, etc. women now don't want to take on more than one role. They want to have the career role, then the mother role, then the wife role. Do you understand? They don't want to do things at the same time.
That is exactly what the society has come to.
Yeah.
Why are we losing it in society? Because we're losing our women as well.
Mm.
The house is for them. But at the same time, I know many people want to chop my head now, for me telling them that, a woman, they don't. Yes, let me put it this way. I respect them so much, and I know it is our failure that drive them or that push them this hard. I should recognize that, or we should recognize that fact. They're not really a person that really fight this much or compete with us so much. They are submissive people. I can tell you that they used to be, but most of our men misuse that opportunity, taking advantage of them. And I think, to be honest, I should credit them for that. And I think that is what pushed them also out now. That no, we don't have to give everything to you and be expecting it from you. I think we should also fight for it ourselves. And now we are losing it.
Yeah, I think
The home rights, or it lies on their shoulder,
of the woman.
and that responsibility, they don't have the time for it anymore. And that is what the society we are today. That is why it is what it is.
Yeah.
They now believe, or they actually prefer to go and work and use the money they earn to pay somebody else to take care of their family
Exactly.
or their child,
It,
which is absolutely wrong.
it's outsourcing.
Exactly.
You're outsourcing your primary reason why you were created.
Responsibility.
Exactly. And it's I think that's why lots of guys are looking abroad for marriage, where looking for women who haven't been infected with the cancer of feminism. Feminism is saying the man and the woman are the same. We're not the same. We have different heights. We have so many different things. Biologically, medically speaking, we are not. We are a subspecies. So we can't compete in age. We can't compete in strength. You don't see Roger Federer play Serena Williams. She was the best. He's the best. But they don't play against each other because we're not the same. We have different strengths and weaknesses. But now what I'm seeing is a disintegration of family values and rules and regulations now. Women are chasing careers, leaving child rearing to other people. They're having children at a much later age where they have less energy. They're having less family. They're having smaller families. Used to be 3 children, now it's like 1 or 2 children maximum. So the whole family, West as a whole, is declining in population. We've got an increasing elderly population, and most importantly, there's family disunity. The man is not pleased because the woman is bringing this alpha, hyper masculine energy, whereas in fact she's supposed to be submissive and feminine. Men value femininity and agreeableness, compassion, and submissiveness, softness, grace, and elegance. Women are not bringing that. Women are bringing to the table hyper masculinity, disagreeableness, this aggression, and just a combativeness. Very combative, very, what's the word? Very, always looking for a fight, and this is the energy they're getting from work. Work is producing this high testosterone corporate woman, and then she's bringing that into home. And medically, I can tell you that women's testosterone is rising. It's actually rising in the West. Men's testosterone is declining, women's is increasing. Men's estrogen is rising, women's estrogen is declining. This is a biochemical pandemic in the West.
I was in a conversation, I happened to be in a conversation in South Africa some times ago, and the guy looked up and said, "No, it is their problem. If she want to do it, she can do it. I don't have a problem. I'm just leaving." Now this guy, what? Sorry, what does that mean? He said, "No, he wants to be the. I mean, she wants to be the husband. It's a problem. She's making the money. If you want to make the money home, she's okay." So some men are now submitting, they're leaving their responsibility for them simply because they want to show that. Like I said, to be honest, I don't blame them. Like I said, we pushed them to that wall, to be honest, because they've been maltreated. Some, traitors, I will call them some traitors among the men, actually pushed them to that limit, to be honest. Because if you look at it more with their submissiveness, some some who I will call them some traitor among us maltreated them, and that is what pushed them to that limit. That's when they begin to now fighting for themselves and wanted to be everything. Now, it's not usual. It doesn't used to be like this. So what pushed them to? But at the same time, I think they need to call themselves too. Into they need to call themselves to account, or they should. I mean, they should do a quick check, because after everything, then what? You fight for everything, but you still, at the end of the day, you still want someone to marry you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem now. So you should not know who wants to.
Who wants to marry? Who wants to put up and have to handle you? Men want peace. Fundamentally, men want peace. Men are at war all day. Men don't want problems. Men want peace, peace of mind. Men want a woman to complement him, not complicate his life. This is the problem where a lot of women, go wrong. They bring to the table problems and attitude and this kind of feisty attitude, which works in the workplace. In the workplace, fine. Be a corporate boss, babe, where you have thick skin and have a sharp tongue. But at home, that doesn't work, because a man fundamentally wants peace of mind.
It's gonna run away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the reality.
You're gonna
we run away. Not really that we run away. We want peace. We go for where men going to be wherever they find peace. That's just it. You create your problem. He wants you. He try to call you to attention, make you understand you're disturbing his life or his peace. The next minute, and that is what it is. I always tell them. I even tell my sister, look, we're not the same. That's why they end up being alone.
Yeah.
Single mom.
Yeah, exactly.
You become a single mom. For you to get into another relationship, your chance of getting to another relationship is very slim.
Yeah, absolutely.
My chance of getting to another relationship is very high.
It's very high as a man.
I'm telling you, I can actually leave you today and be in another relationship next month.
Yeah. Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's not
There's
hard.
already on the queue. That's just the point. But look at where do you find yourself?
Yeah.
Many people, you see, many home got broken, or they begin to have problems because they begin to tussle power and kind of that. But let me tell you something: we are the most weak between the two gender. Men are very weak. That's why we don't want trouble. That's why we don't want complications. We don't want problem. We just want peace. I do please don't take this. I don't want people to take, misunderstand this. I'm not talking about an idiot. If you got married to an idiot, or you have a relationship with an idiot, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're having a relationship or got married to a responsible man, I'm telling you, if you give him your 100% submission, you give the total power to him. That is what we have. We can use it, but we want to assume that we have it. You end up the one controlling him.
Yeah, nagging.
Exactly. You will be the one controlling the entire relationship if you show him your total submissive. If you give the entire power to a man, he cannot use it. But by the time you want to drag that power with him, that's when the problem begins.
Exactly. It's like trying to drag at it.
Exactly. It's the muscular thing within us. When we want to drag that power with him, then the intention begins. But when you give the entire power to him, you let him know that he has the whole total control of everything. Before he do anything, he's going to consult you first.
Exactly. There's a very good book by a woman who went through multiple divorces, and she said, this is not working. Let me change my frame of reference. Let me change my entire attitude towards marriage. And then she wrote a book called The Surrendered Wife. Now she says, I will respect him unconditionally. I will respect him unconditionally. Now that's where a lot of modern women go wrong, in that they respect conditionally. I'm only going to respect him if he deserves my respect. No. It doesn't matter that. Respect him. Respect him unconditionally, and then see what he does for your love. He will love you so much. Women don't want that though. They've been trained in the workplace and in the education establishment that everything is conditional. Your grades are conditional. Your promotion is conditional. So even his respect should be conditional. No. Her name's Linda something. She says, respect him unconditionally, just like you love your child unconditionally, because for man, respect is like love. So when you respect him unconditionally, he feels loved. When he feels loved, he will love you so much, and it's a positively reinforcing cycle. Women don't understand this. They think it's give and take in marriage. No, give unconditionally, and you will receive unconditionally as well.
It's actually when you give a man a full power. I'm talking of a real man, not an idiot. He can use it. He would not use it.
Yeah.
I do, this is why I advise my, I don't advise my friends, and my sisters. Look, why do you think there's a problem? There is a problem when a man knows if he doesn't tell you, there's going to be a problem, and that's why he's not going to tell you before he do something. But if he knows, even if he doesn't tell you, there's nothing will happen.
Yeah.
He's going to tell you.
Yes, exactly. He'd be open with you.
Exactly.
And
He won't be open with you.
And
because he knows that it's not that you start like if you do something, you're not going to question why he does it
yes.
or why did he do it without you knowing.
Yep.
Then he's not going to do it without letting you know. But if he knows that if he do it or if he does something is a problem to you, you're going to question why would you do it. He's going to do it because he wants you to do your worst, and let's see.
Yeah.
Because you're tussling the power with him.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to work.
This is very good. Tussling the power is a very good
You
phrase.
can toss the power with a man.
Yeah.
When he knows that you're tussling the power with him, he's going to continue to test you with it, and there will never be a peace.
And this is the problem in the West. Women want that power. They want to tussle the power, and that's why a lot of brothers are going away now. They're going. There's a whole movement called passport bros, where people are going to Africa, to Asia, to Latin America, to South Europe, like Italy and Spain, Portugal, Malta, Cyprus, Sicily, or they're going to Eastern Europe to find women who are women.
Who still has culture.
Yep.
If you go and look at there's a program, I forgot the name of TLC. There's the program that 90 days. I think the 90 days is the 90 day fiancé, or what do they call this program?
90 days honeymoon.
The 90 days fiancé, I think so, on TLC. Go and look at it. Majority of them are running out, to look for a woman abroad. And why would they do that? Is because they're still looking for a woman with culture.
Yes.
A woman that still have the home value. That's what they mean. Because they just tell you it's not working here in America. It's not working here in the UK. But come to look at it, who is at loss? They are. Why do you want more? At the end of it, what do you do with it?
You're going to be single with cats and no husband. You're going to be 35, 40, great career, no husband. What a shame. It's like saying a man, for instance, a man can cook very, very, very well, but he can't earn a living, for instance. He can't provide for his family, but he can cook, or he can clean very well, or he can, I don't know, he can cut hair very well, or do something which is good but not necessary. Women are doing something which is not necessary, which is nice to have but not compulsory. They're doing that very, very well, but then they're neglecting the primary responsibility. It's like I'm sending you to the shop to buy apples. You buy everything but apples. You buy even better than you buy cakes and everything. You spend so much money and you come home and I'll still be disappointed. I'm like, this is good, but not what I wanted. Primary, I sent you to get apples. Same with women. Their primary responsibility is to have children, to nurture and to support the husband. Nurture children, instill a code of conduct and values and a paradigm into the next generation of children. They're not doing it because they're not having children. How many women do you know in the West who have their own recipe? They don't have their own recipe. They cook from they cook from packets and microwave food and oven food. None of these have any.
They haven't learned it.
Haven't learned it. I know women in mid-20s who haven't cooked anything. They are just getting recipe boxes and microwave food. No culture, no class. And I know a lot of young, successful, good-looking brothers who are looking abroad now. They can't have the headache. Men want peace.
That is exactly what everyone has to do. Why even you have to do that because you don't want the trouble. You don't want the mess. People want family.
Yeah.
They don't want companion, I do tell people there's a big difference between a wife and a partner. I am not looking for a partner. I am looking for a wife. But their mistake is they misinterpret being a wife for being a slave. That
Yeah.
is not true. It's completely not true. That's nonsense. That is why we have many single women today. That's why we have many single mothers today. But they're still failing to check themselves, to look at it. I do tell them, if you have an agreement of a partner, have an agreement of a partner from the beginning. You cannot disguise as a wife and got married and want to live with a man as a partner. But people are missing the conception, the difference between the two. There's a difference between a partner and a wife.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm finding is a lot of women don't have the idea, the conception, the understanding of what it takes to be a wife. They're going into marriage not knowing how to cook, not knowing the position of the husband, not knowing their roles and duties as a wife. They're very quick to know their rights, not their responsibilities. This is the problem.
There's no right actually. What
Not as in the right, the rights of inheritance and a man should provide, the rights they have.
That's what I mean.
But
There's no. That's why I use the word that there's no right. It's not something to capitalize on.
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I mean by there's no right. It's not something to capitalize on. Maybe probably from our own from our own religion perspective, the way we respect women and how they have to be treated. Maybe that actually happened to be, but at the same time, they have their own right. I have my own right, and you have to give it to you have to give it to the man completely unconditional, and that's when you can have the best of him. And
Yeah.
I don't know because we are losing it and it's getting out of hand, to be honest. And if we look at the population of them that are very single,
Yeah.
there's so much, and most of them are successful.
Yeah. Successful in the world, but not in the real terms.
And they're not happy.
They're not happy. Women are increasingly unhappy now, and they're unhappy at themselves, really. A lot of embitterment because they were misguided from their own parents. Career.
But they still don't want to learn from it.
Don't want to learn.
I'm saying they don't want to learn from it because being misguided, you move beyond. Look, let me tell you something. You have a master's, you have a PhD, you're working in one of the top, places. A man will still prefer to have a wife who is living in the farm, a wife who is living in the village, who remains a wife,
Yeah.
than to come to you or to marry you.
Yeah.
Many at your level, which are the same state or to the same standard, don't want to marry you because believe you're going to be, top. Even sometimes when you don't mean it, it's going to think you mean it. That's just what it means. He is going to believe that he cannot tell you this is what is going to happen. Trust me. When you give it, like I keep repeating it because it's what I know and I believe in it. When you give a man an unconditional power, trust me, he cannot use it.
A lot of women are scared.
Exactly.
I don't want to give him power because he'll abuse me. No. A righteous man will never abuse you.
A righteous man. I mean, that's why I'm trying to clarify. I'm not talking about an idiot. Because if you're dating or you're marrying an idiot, that's a different thing entirely. I'm talking about a man. When you give him a full, unconditional power, he can't use it, and that is when you're going to control him, because he know if he doesn't tell you, there's nothing will happen before doing it. Then he's going to tell you.
Yeah. No. Exactly. He's
going to bring it to you first.
Yeah.
And what do you want? That's it.
That's what you want.
He's
Yeah.
going to come back. You cannot tell him not to do something. That is exactly what we want to do. Because you can't tell us not to do something.
It's forbidden fruit. You wanted more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you ask us not to do something, that is when we are going to do it.
Yeah.
But if I know telling you, it's not going to not telling you doesn't change anything, then I'm going to tell you. And once I've tell you what happened, you've controlled the whole thing because you will be the one to tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Without telling me.
Exactly. Only if women had this sense, had this had this approach, this scientific approach to relationship dynamics, that so many divorces could be averted. What happens, the primary reason for divorce is power struggle. Men don't feel respected, women don't feel loved. But at the outset, if they were to promise to each other that they are going to love and respect unconditionally without any strings attached, then the whole marriage will be smoother. And don't concentrate on my rights, my rights, my rights. Think about fulfilling your responsibilities to the other person.
How do you love a man? There's no other way than you respect him,
Yeah,
because that is what we translate as love.
absolutely.
We translate respect as love.
Yeah,
That's just it. There's no other way to love a man than to respect him.
absolutely.
The more you
Admiration.
respect him, the more he loves you.
And
The more you respect him,
balloons
the
up.
more difficult for him to leave you.
Exactly. Men, they say disrespect ends in divorce. And they say men will go towards, this is both our experience, will um, men will go where they find beauty, but they will stay where they find peace. And that's something so deep. Men will go where they find beauty, but they will stay where they find peace. Because they say 8 out of 10 women are beautiful. So it's actually, female beauty is not, it's the norm. It's the norm. It's the default. It's not something to be astonished by. Oh, she's a beautiful woman. But so many beautiful women in the world. That's the default in many parts of the world. So men go where they find beauty, but they stay where they find peace.
I do agree with you, and just to support what you've said, uh, that's just the truth, yes, your beauty will attract us to you, but it is your attitude that will make us stay. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
We are attracted to you, and we're going to approach you because of your beauty, but your beauty cannot make us stay with you.
Absolutely.
It is your attitude that will make us stay with you, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, they say many women can get a man, but not many women can keep him. Because they've not been trained. They've not been trained how to be surrendered, submissive wives. Men, they say, men go for three things. Three things. A, B, C. So A is age, B is beauty, and C is cooperation. Literally, that's it. A, B, C. Not C for career, not D for degree, not E for education, not F for finances. A, B, C. Age, beauty, cooperation. And many women get that wrong way around. So they end up single, end up divorced, they end up perpetually miserable, unhappy, and unfulfilled, living by themselves in flats, in apartments, with 3 cats, but no husband, no children.
I think that I don't want people to get me wrong. It's good for you to be educated. I'm talking to the women. It's very, very good to be educated. It's very, very good for you to be a career person. But the best of it is for you to be all those things in your home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let your husband be part of it.
Very true.
But if you think you want to be it before you have a home, you might end up having no home. And that is exactly what is happening today.
House but no home. House but this is
you end up having no home. You're just gonna be with yourself, and if you are fine with it, it's okay. If you know that you're going to be you are fine with it, then it's okay. But majority don't fine with it because still now you're still looking for someone to love you. You're still looking for someone to care for you. You can have both. You can't have both. You're puzzling power with a man and you want him to treat you with love. It's not going to possible. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
You can't have both. You can't eat your cake and still have it. That is what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Once you give him respect, he's going to give you back. Respect is people just think. I think it is a misconception or misunderstanding because today they just think that respect is like taking them for a slave, and that's what I don't understand. Because it's not true. What I mean about respect is giving him his own, he has his own place and you have to place him in that place. Men will always be the head of the house, whether you like it or not. That's just it, because that's what there is something they call masculine. That's just it. It's in let me give you an example to this. Even the people, the women themselves, that that still believe that submissive is taking them for a slave. When they have a male child,
Yeah.
they train the male child to be the head of the house, their own son. When they have a son, they always that's the way they would train that son.
Yes.
But you still
With the husband, they don't want it.
fighting about it.
Yeah.
You're still fighting it.
And the same women will happily serve the boss at work without any problems. They will serve the CEO, their director, their direct manager, without questions. But then when it comes to the husband, they show disagreeableness. This is the problem. Disagreeableness and disrespect inevitably ends in divorce. They say once a woman becomes disagreeable, cut your losses. Divorce her because she's going to continue the disrespect. It's beyond repair now. Once it gets the disrespect, you can't unrepair that damage. So cut your losses. She will be divorced. Disrespect, because you can't repair that now. The ship has sunken already. You've got to get off that ship.
And that's the same thing that is what is in the society today, of course. And we as a man, we like to take the painful route, and that's what I think they don't understand. Like you said, you quickly count the loss and let it go.
It's gone. It's sinking.
For them, they always think maybe we can still try to amend things. We can still fit. No, men don't look at that. Once he wants you, he's telling you. They always think, look, when men continue to tell you something, he's warning you. Because it might go to a point of no return.
Yes.
And when it gets to that stage, forget about it. It's just the end,
It's the end, yeah. You might as well lose now because you're going to lose in 6 months or 1 year. So lose now and cut your losses.
Exactly.
Let the pain be now, then in 1 year's time, because that ship has sailed and it's sinking. It's beyond repair.
Just let it go.
So let it go.
Just,
God's earth is vast. Let it go. And you aren't the only person to have been divorced or separated or whatever. Let it go and be better at vetting. This is a problem we have a lot in the West. Men don't know how to vet. Vet properly. Red flags. What's her relationship like with her father? Does she respect the men in her life? Is she, ask a few questions like, these hypothetical scenarios. If you're wearing something and I don't want you to wear it and I tell you not to wear it, what would you say? Ask her these questions as well.
Don't. I think pretension is also an issue in relationship, in marriage today as well. To be honest, things you don't do before you get married to him, why do you want to start doing after getting married to him? There are things that he considered that makes him to make his decision to marry you.
Yeah, exactly. Why change?
So why do you want to change it?
Yeah. And they say...
So are you hiding it?
Exactly.
You try to learn or you try to see what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's what you pretend to be.
Yeah. Put your best foot forward.
Exactly. Now you get what you want.
Yeah.
Now you're going back to who you really are.
Exactly.
There's no more marriage in it.
It was a facade. It was a big disguise.
Exactly.
They say very interesting, and I'll end on this because it's time for prayer. They say women marry men wanting them to change. They want that power that I've changed him from bad to good. I've changed him. I've molded him. Men marry women on the premise that they don't change. They married her, they liked her, they want her to stay the same. Both end up disappointed because he doesn't change and she changes.
Men they make their own decision based on what they see.
Yeah.
They believe that is what they want to get. But you are trying to show him different side of you. That different side of you is exactly what makes him to decide to go for you.
Yeah.
When you now come in, you now become your real you. There's going to be definitely it's not going to work.
I married a different way. Because men are logical. Men are rational and say, I married a woman based on what she brings to the table. When she offers different when I'm married, it's not the same value proposition I had initially when I married her. So I'm the one who's lost out here. The market value she had when I married her was based on certain factors and inputs and variables which are not present now. Therefore, she has been put on a facade. She's been putting on this facade which has misled me and missold me.
Exactly.
You know,
The pain.
the pain. It's painful for a man. It's betrayal.
You know, a man don't want to be deceived. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's just like, wow, that means I'm not smart enough.
I'm not smart
You
enough.
outplayed me.
You outplayed me. You had this, but they say a lot of women can have this facade for 6-7 years. They can have this for 6-7 years, and then that's what they call it, the 7-year itch. 7-year itch, where divorce rates spike, where the mask comes off. The mask will come off. Men are being played.
Well, when we're talking about what you bring to the table, it's not about money.
We don't-
They should
we
get
don't-
that- they should get that one very, they should get that one correctly. To clarify that it's not about money.
We don't care about money.
Because who cares about your money? Who cares about what? I want to buy something for you. I want to spoil you,
Yeah.
even if you have your money.
I prefer you to be poor.
Exactly. I even prefer you to be poor and spend my money.
Yeah, exactly.
So who cares about what you when they mean what you bring to the table is not about the money. I want a home.
Yeah, I know.
A home. Give me a home. That's why a man wants to marry.
Yeah.
To have a home.
What can you bring? Career, my degree, my masters.
What are we going to do with it?
We don't care about
What
that.
is it?
They say a man would rather marry a McDonald's than a Masters.
Of course.
So,
Yes, of course. That's what I'm saying. That he prefer to go and marry in the village
yeah.
rather than to marry you,
Yeah.
which you believe that
Yeah.
you're gonna believe that you think you know everything.
Exactly.
You think you. No, it doesn't work like that with men. Seriously.
Yeah.
They keep pushing you guys. They keep explaining to you that career is very important. What a man can do, a woman can do better. It's a lie. It's not true. It's a big lie. No, I can tell you guys, it's a very big lie.
We're not the same.
What you can do, I cannot do, and what I can do, you cannot do it. And that's just the reality, and that's the truth. But thinking that what I can do, you can do it better, is misguided.
Misguided.
That is what's leading every one of us to where we are today. We want you to still continue to be a woman, like you said. Just on a final note, we want you to continue to be a woman, and we also want to be the man, and that's when we can have a home, and also that is what can change our society to be a better place. And we always say the society is not what it used to be, and what it used to be is what we are trying to believe is not. We're trying to change it, and like I said earlier, just what I can do as a man, you cannot do it, and what you can do as a woman, I cannot do it. So we need to know our boundaries.
Yep.
We all have our, we have our unique.
Yeah.
We are both unique. So why tussling with me, or why should I tussle with you?
Exactly.
Let everybody stays on their lane.
We are complementary. Complementary, Polarity is important. Strength and weaknesses. We complement. We are pairs. God says in the Quran, you are pairs. Zoj, pairs. Pairs don't compete. They complete
Complement.
and complement. Yes, exactly.
Don't compete.
They don't compete. No.
Just complement.
Exactly. Ridwan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you.
It's good to have you.
It's a really good chat.
Yeah,
Learned
it's
so
good.
much from your wisdom.
And also the yours as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. That was